Welcome to Women's Special Express. Every home, every heart, every feeling, every moment of happiness is incomplete without you. Only you can complete this world. A woman is a strong source of nourishment to her own family and community. A very happy International Women's Month to all of you. On today's show, we are honored to have a compassionate life coach who is passionate to transform other lives, who finds technology is a great means to life, and is a great artist. Being coach and nutritionist, she look at life with a perfect blend of physical and emotional dimension to help achieve results. She loves expediting people to work on their bucket list and oftentimes help them create one with ability to mirror their mind. She is an absolute polymath, strategist to many, founder of a Mirror My Mind and Mirro.ai, an artificial intelligence coach. Let's welcome Maithilee Samant on our show today. Namaskar, Maithilee.
Namaskar. Nice to be here, Pranali.
I'm honored to have you as my guest, and especially in this, February month where everybody is going through their appraisals. I think it's a great beginning to have this kind of a guest on our show today.
Absolutely my pleasure to be here.
So, Maithili, what does in general a life coach means? The career coach or a life coach means?
Yeah, that's a great question, Pranali, and thanks for asking that because there are many misconceptions about the role of a coach. People often that use term coach to refer anyone from therapist to counselor, mentor, advisor. So it is important who is coach and who is not a coach. So let's start with who is not a coach. So coach is not someone who preaches or advises or nags you or talks about their own life experiences. That is kind of a mentor who will give you advices based on their life experiences. Coach is not a shoulder to cry on so that you can feel better about yourself. That is a therapist or sometimes a close friend. But who coach is you have to look at the term coach, the word coach, and what it means. Coach means a carrier, and carrier to what? It's a carrier to your goal. So if you see life as a change and where you're personally evolving, there's always a condition that you are somewhere and you want to go somewhere else. You want to get better, you want to reach your goal, you want to realize your dream. So coach creates that he or she is the carrier from your current state to the next state. So a good coach creates a customized life strategies for you so that you can reach your goals and destination in time and don't waste time in trying to figure everything out yourself. So sometimes the coach acts like an advisor, mentor, sometimes like a trusted friend, but it is not. Coach is not limited by these roles or not defined by the role. What defines a coach is your goal. So when a coach will keep you focused on where you're going. It's a little forward looking kind of role that you have. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yes. At least to me, little bit of definition is clear. But going forward, this the life coach, or in general, they kind of touch all sorts of your life areas. They can be your career coach, they can be a relationship coach, they can be someone who can be help your business in terms of strategies, or other types as well. So that's where the actual confusion starts, and most of the times we fail to understand whether who can be opting for the coach, because it involves fees. So many of us have that kind of a perception where we think it might be c-suite people, who definitely need someone because they have to negotiate on a lot of fronts and they have to deal with a lot of stress. So they definitely need coach. The entrepreneurs, the someone who is into the startup or have the business and want to grow, they need coach. But in general, people who have just boarded onto the career or in between their career ladders, how does a coach really helps them? I think that will resolve many of our perceptions about coach.
Yeah, you're right. I think the most popular conception is that if you're corporate executive, then you can afford the luxury of having a coach. But it's actually the other way around. A company cannot afford not having a coach for their executives. And that's because, as you said, executives are taking, risk and crucial discussions that's going to decisions that are going to affect the whole company, right? So they cannot afford just keep on experimenting. They need somebody who can they strategize with, who can coach them, advise them, so they can be most effective from the get go. And that is why actually coachability, that is to ability to receive coaching, is one of the most required traits in for executives at companies like Google. So they look for those traits.
Mm,
So that is now, you can say that okay, that's good for a Google executive. Now what about me? I am an individual contributor, I'm not even an entrepreneur. True. But if you look at your life, aren't you the executive of your life? Aren't you the CEO of your life experience, of your career? Aren't you in the driving seat? So you have the same kind of, the scope is different, but it is the kind of a your importance is probably much more than a company's importance of being successful. This is about talking about your life being successful. That is to getting the experiences you want, the relationships you want to develop. That's very important. So it's if you look at it that way, then you realize that, do I have time to keep on figuring things out by myself and going into different routes? Maybe you do, or maybe you don't. And at that time, having a life coach just saves you a lot of time and wasted effort and gets you to the goals in the right time. Because sometimes, like, you know for example, you have only say 20, 25 years or 35 years of career, and if you're continuously busy just working and coming home and just resting, there are lots of important things that you won't realize by the end of the career, that hey, I didn't sign up for that. I wanted this in my life. I wanted to lead a team. I wanted to create a product. I wanted to have a great relationship with my kid or my spouse. And that's not gonna happen, on the side. You have to, really sit down and create a strategy and execute on it. And that is where having life coach helps to anyone in that regard, because you have to see yourself as an executive. You are the leader of your life.
interesting. So overall, it helps everyone who is looking forward to take a good leap in their life. It could be any aspect. It could be relationship. It could be career, or it could be even finding out where they are best at. That's true. Now the other question came with the affordability and finding the right coach. So people, basically, that's very interesting area to resolve for them, because there are many coaches out, there are many ads, the sponsored ads on Facebook, Insta, everywhere people are getting. They're saying now, after Robin Sharma especially, there are so many coaches out there across the globe, and now with this online sessions and internet, everybody is so much accessible. So finding the
Yes.
right coach is somehow is the wisdom. So, how
Yes.
can someone find that, these are the kind of people that I should be resonating with, or, opting for, or, going forward and picking someone as my coach or strategist or as an advisor?
Yes, the resonance is very important, as you pointed out. And it's the trick is to find who are you resonating well with. I mean, there are so one way to look at it is that, see what your goal is, or what is it that you want to get away from. Say you are struggling with a problem and you want to get away from a problem, or you have a goal and you want to go towards it, and then use that as a kind of your litmus test to find the right coach. And see if who somebody who has either done that before, or has an interesting perspective that you need to get it done. So for example, if you are a guy and who wants to, find the love of their life, and they're not finding it, you can go and talk to your guy friends and get the advice. But having a female coach who is going to coach you on how a female thinks, it's going to get you much further, right? So you have to look for uh, different perspectives. Sometimes it is important to see somebody who has done something like you and is in a further along with you, than you. That's a good coach. Say for you are starting a business, then somebody who has started a business and being successful at it, that would be a good coach. Or have a different, totally different perspective always helps, having, if you are an artist, having a coach who has a little bit of science background, or the other way around, also helps because it rounds you. So that's one aspect. The other thing I want to, many coaches do allow like free sessions. So definitely take avail of that. Look at how whether you resonate in that. And couple of points I would like to say is that you want a coach who spends time listening to you than talking about themselves, because no matter how impressive somebody is, they could be your role model, but if they cannot understand where you are and what are your unique situations and aspects and limitations or opportunities that you have, if they can't relate to that, they can't help you. So you may be able to relate to them, but they should also be able to relate to you and understand you as you do understand yourself, or sometimes even better. So somebody who can listen is something that you should look for. And the third and the other important thing is that look for people who um, have coaches themselves. Look for coaches who have coaches, because that means they really believe, and they're doing what they preach, not just preaching.
Hmm.
So for example, I have coaches. I have a right now I have a really great business coach who is helping me, coaching me on how to take my business to the next level. I have had writing coaches in past, and I can tell you that is my investment in myself, and every single dollar that went into me into that has returned into something really very fruitful as an experience, as health or well-being or success. So make sure that you find coach who have coaches or have been mentored in past. So that is very important also, to find a right coach.
Interesting. Now, a very interesting question, especially after your silver jubilee in the career where you were working in the IT field and were hosting at a senior director level. You were designing the strategies for your entire team, moving your product up on the ladder. At that point of time, how did you even decided to switch on the career path and be a mentor to somebody else? I mean, that itself is another education path where you opened up yourself and had to halt somewhere you are expert at. So how this switch happened? I think it's many of our female friends question to you who know you. And I mean, of course, you're doing wonderful right now, considering how you were. People were looking forward for you as a mentor, but switching completely all over was a very different decision. And how did you take it?
Yeah, great question. And yeah, it was a very interesting decision, but was wonderful to take it. So I'll tell you, uh, I had a really good career at Agilent. Like before Agilent, I was working in other fields in like banking and all. But in Agilent, I was working as a life science software director, and I got to learn a lot of metabolomics, proteomics, all these different domains, including physics, chemistry, and just software engineering in general. So and I had a very happy career, great culture in the company, and I kept on moving up the ladder. It was all great, but it come to a point where my learning, I was learning, but I wasn't learning that much. So then it came like after 17 years or all, you figure things out, now you can sail just comfortably. That was one option for me. But there was also option like going and doing some self actualization. So one of the things I was reading once, article about Jeff Bezos and how he started Amazon. And he when he had a cushy job, and he was going to leave to start a company who sells books online. So his manager sat with him and told him how what a wrong decision that is, and how he should not take it, and how much he has to lose, And Jeff Bezos went back because he looked up to this manager, and he went back and he had to think about, okay, am I doing something right? And he couldn't tell, because you can't tell. You don't have the crystal ball to look into future and see whether this gonna be successful or not. So he decided on this one question. He said, an 80 years old self, when I am 80 and I look back at this time, what will my 80-year-old self advise me to do? And and that and then of course he left the job, and the rest is history. So I that story stuck with me, and it kept on popping in my head. And so I asked myself, what about 80-year-old Maithilee, if she looks back at this time and says, okay, stay in Agilent, keep on getting promoted, or go and leave and do something totally different, what would she say? And I always came back as an answer is that, go explore, because if not now, when? you
Yeah.
know so I said, okay, that's a scary decision. And it wasn't like a on a whim, or an like a in an instant. It was a thought through decision. Then I started looking at, okay, how can I manage to take a sabbatical, because I didn't know what I'm going to do. So put all the ducks in the row, had the savings, the financial planning, all of that. And of course my husband Atul was on board, and actually it was a planned decision in that regard. It has to be right. And without his support, I wouldn't have been able to do such a drastic step so quickly. But it was that Jeff Bezos story
Mm.
that made me think. And life is about, what do you want to experience? you know there is no set path that this is the path of success. You define your own success at the end of your life, maybe, where you look back and say, hey, I came here to take these experiences, and I managed to get most of them. That is a successful life. And for me, I wanted this experience of having an adventure, of getting up and being my own boss and figuring out where I want to go next. So that was the reason I said. And it was very, very refreshing. And I didn't know I will go in coaching at all. It actually came, what happens is that people kept on reaching out to me. And I had decided, I'm just going to do art, and I'm going to write and take a break, because I need some break. And while I was writing, or while I was talking to people, my writing also changes to help them. Paintings, was fun. But then it gave me a point where I realized that I'm drawn to having deep discussions with people. That gives me energy.
Mm.
It makes me very happy when together we solve some problem. So then I said, I'll just go and get a coaching certificate. Why not? So I did that,
Mm.
and then there you go, and it just clicked. So that's how I am here now. Yeah.
A very factful thing that you mentioned is you didn't take a decision all of a sudden. You basically sat down with your family, your spouse, and figured it out how your finances will look like, how the things will move further smooth. And then you decided to part from there. I mean, that's the difference, I would say. You have mentioned it, and it is helpful because many people, while changing their careers, they have the fears of losing. So at least the basic, if they can plan and secure and then try to explore, I think that will make a very wise movement in their career. Am I right?
Oh, absolutely. The thing is, with any fear, to conquer it, you look at it and actually get specifics. So when you say, oh my God, we might ran out of money. Okay, let's see. How much money do we need to be unemployed for next 2 years? Let's see. you know, what is the number, what is the calculation, and get some objective calculation. Let's look at, okay, this is the objective calculation, or how are we going to do that. So there is this Rich Dad Poor Dad
Hmm.
book,
Yeah.
which had a very interesting paradigm there, which said that don't say that I can't afford it, ask question, how can I afford it. And that just frames your mind to find ways to make things happen. And I think that's that. And of course, it is not overnight. You have to be disciplined, diligent, and smart about planning those things.
Hmm.
But nothing is impossible. You can make it happen for it's possible for any and every one of us.
Right. And that's where we are seeing the result. So,
Yeah.
like starting this life coach certification, getting onto the board of, coaching people, that was okay. I mean, again, having people who are coaching you in the terms of business or, some other sort where you need to, give out some good advices and be trained, that is also good. But how come suddenly a nutritionist come into the picture? Uh, that's another story.
Yeah, it's also very interesting. It's like, that saying where you say the teacher and the student together create the teaching.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened is that one of my really good friends was was looking to lose weight, and it was important for her health goals. And I was coaching her, and because of my agilent career, I had to learn a lot of scientific studies, because I was working with scientists who were at the cutting edge of metabolomics research. So how the food metabolizes, what are the how our body reacts. And because I did the mass spectrometry software, I was looking at a very objective data and statistical analysis and all of that. So I kind of knew um, the latest research on these things, so I could use that to guide her, and she lost significant amount of weight, 30 pounds or more. And in that whole process, there were some other friends who joined in, and though I wasn't coaching them formally, they joined in, and we managed to get them also on track of their weight loss goals. So I said, okay, that's good. So then if I'm gonna use that as an augment my existing life and career coaching practice, I should get a certification, because I don't do anything unless I get, like, I'm certified or have the right credentials, right? Otherwise, you don't want to do anything like that. So I
Yeah.
went ahead and did the holistic nutritionist certificate from American Fitness Associations, and that's how it started. So it has nicely augmented my coaching practice. So uh, many times, if your body and mind, if your body is not nourished and in a good stage, no matter how deep discussions you have with that person, I mean, it might give them some insights and can change some things. But to truly transform somebody, you also need to take into account their physical aspects. And I think that's having that holistic nutrition certificate gives me that to address it. So I don't focus on nutrition like a nutritionist would be,
Mm.
but if I'm seeing the pattern, so for example, if you are having too many depressing thoughts, you know what simple solution is? You might be low on vitamin D. So I'm just asking somebody then, when was your last vitamin D test? Can you go and get it? And then to find, oh my God, the vitamin D levels are low. Simple thing, go into sun, get your vitamin D supplements, and they suddenly start feeling better, right? So you don't know when people come to you with what symptom they come, but what could be the underlying problem. And I think having that holistic nutrition certificate has given me ability to say and do those things.
And it has given you a lot of results in your, especially the clients, right? Who are onto your courses or who are looking forward for some changes in their life.
Yes, yes. My coaching practice is what I call is 360. So I start with their, health goals, then their career goals, their life goals, and truly understand that. And then I customize the program for them. And it's typically 12 sessions, though people continue with me later on. But in that, big part of it is also communications. So, and that is like the such a fundamental part of successful life, because all life success depends on how you relate with others, how you can see through what the other person is saying, how to be assertive in your communications, and many of the women that come to me, and many men as well, very technical and analytical in their minds, but they do not really see the relevance of emotional aspects of communication. They do not see how relevant that is. So what happens is their communication either triggers somebody else and they get into confrontational situations, or they just keep mum because they are worried that they will be confronting something. So it just that becomes a big blockage. So what I coach them is to see how a frame of mind, a human frame of mind, and that you can apply to your boss, your spouse, to your kids, and to see how to see and understand that, and how to adjust your communications based on that, so and get the results. So that's also a big part of my coaching.
Right. As we know, Maithilee, she's a great artist. She does nice paintings. I've seen couple of them which she had posted recently, and she's a good writer. So, a lot of aspects that we see in Maithilee. So, what is it that one can look forward to in your programs? Like what sort of programs you have, and how that can be helpful for them.
I don't have kind of a lot of programs. I do have very few. So the main program I have is this 361, which is the 12 weeks program. And but what I do in that is I customize it for the individual, and that is the difference. So it's not the same thing for this person and that person, and that's where my versatility comes into play. Is that if a person has artistic aspects, I can relate and adjust accordingly. If a person is more analytical, okay, my science background is there, so can do it that way. So having those multiple interests have uh, helped me to be a coach where most of the people can relate and can find value, because one of the things I do is I do some basic personality tests, like couple of them, with my folks, and then I see what are their personality traits and what are their communication strategies or ways that they work with, and then I become the mirror, or even a different sounding board. That's why I called my practice Mirror My Mind. So because then they can see what they're thinking,
Hmm.
and also I know how to balance their personality. So if somebody is impulsive in taking actions, then I become kind of a little bit analytical and say, hold on, did you think about this, uh, and on the other hand, if somebody takes is too much deliberate in taking decisions and never acts, then I can say, hey, go for it, this is fine. So I change based on what that person needs.
Interesting. So that's where we definitely are looking forward for, kind of a help where people want to have the switches done and achieve their dreams. On one point which is very interesting, one of your client, I would say, or one of your friend who had a discussion with me in a couple of weeks back, and she was telling me very interesting story of hers. She was a stay-at-home mom, and since she was immigrant also, there were a lot of complications in getting back board to the career in the United States, and your guidance have helped her, not just to her but many women who were stay-at-home moms who had issues with the immigration and couldn't work for a long time in their professional sides, have jumped because of you and are doing really very well in the field that they're interested in and sharpening their skills, especially the moms. I feel that's the most toughest job, being a mom, and stay at home moms have to do a lot. And finding out the right balance, time to sharpen the skills, and going with that self esteem is a very, very different story. People who are stay at home right now, it could be even stay at home dads, and are looking forward to jump into the career or interesting field of theirs, because they're right now suffering on a lot of fronts. They might have low self esteem, self confidence, might be shy now after a long time, and even at a finance levels they might be dependent. So at that point of time, what kind of advice you will like to give it to them or help?
Yeah, sure. I would say stay active in your field. It's very important. I mean, you may not be allowed to do a paid work, maybe because of your visa situation, but you are allowed to learn. If you go to like LinkedIn Learning or Coursera, there are lots of courses which are free. Especially if you're in technical world, you have to go and find out what is it that it's going to keep me active. Do volunteer work. Say if you're not in tech, but if you are in something else, see what you can do as a volunteer. Go and talk to local communities. Be active, and basically having a goal that every year I have something that I did that I'm proud of, that I can put on my resume. you know and that should be non-negotiable. So if you do that, then you stay motivated, you stay. What the mistake, what happens with people is that they say, oh, I cannot do this. There is this, they look at the limitation, and then they just stop, and then just stay stuck. Um, if if you do that, then you will stay there. And you know what, as the time passes, it gets harder and harder to get back into that zone. And uh, instead, what I would advise is you stay active, see what you can do, because there is always a lot you can do. In today's world, you can even write a blog, it's free, you can get published, you can do volunteer, you can create art pieces and put it up for display. Uh, there is a lot you can do, so make sure. And even if you are a busy parent, I would say, um, of course, as a mom and as a dad, you have to put in a lot of effort raising kids, but you have to remember you are going to be their role model. And when they grow up, they are going to look up to you to say that, hey, how did you manage your 30s and your 40s, right? So you want to set a good example. So I would say, when you are investing time and energy in yourself, don't see that as, don't feel guilty about it. It is something that not only you're doing for yourself, but you're doing it for your family, you're doing it for your community, you're doing it for the whole world. So get some pride and stay active. That would be my advice.
Wow. I think that's the advice even to the people who are into the career. And this is a very important note to, figure it out. Like, how can you keep moving? That's the key. Otherwise, the stagnancy would come, and then you yourself will feel bored. And then obviously with that boredom, you are going to pass it to your family, to your friends who are around. So that's a very key to success is what I found it here. And I think that's a very great message for everyone, not just for the people who are just stay at home right now and taking a sabbatical in their career. Well, now that we know you're a great career coach and have helped many to get onto their success ladders, I also know you are into something which is kind of helping your coaching model and taking a help from technical side and building something in the artificial intelligence. So, what is that project is all about, and how it's gonna help people overall?
Yeah, sure. That's a fun part. So I'm creating a AI coach. And see, what happens is that, let's look at the problem. What I've seen in my coaching, and when I started coaching, I didn't have, you know, I didn't know that I'll go in that direction. I just going with the flow. So when I coach people, what I realize is that uh, we have a huge amount of brilliant people. I mean, there are a lot of talented people in the world. I think every single one of us is really uniquely talented, but we do not utilize a huge amount portion of our talent, and there are many different roadblocks for that. And one of the big one is the communication skills, and it is extremely important to have good communication skills. I mean, I've seen and coached people who are extremely brilliant technically, but they really do bad in interviews because they don't come across confident, or they don't come across as friendly, or even some of some folks who want to get a coaching in kind of dating, and I see that these are some of really great guys, and they don't get that many dates, or their dates don't go as smoothly, and this is a great catch. Why would not he get somebody? But the thing is, it's about communication. Now now the practice makes perfect, and practice with a good feedback makes perfect. But in cases of communication, our practice is real world, right? So many people, even for interviewing, they say, okay, I'm gonna practice, say, 5 or 6 interviews. That is the opportunities, or even more actually. Just go in, getting into that practice zone, and even then you don't get feedback. You just know whether you passed or failed in the interview, or a presentation. Say you're given a presentation, you're pushing change through organization. That's one chance. you know you Whatever you got, you put it there. You don't know how you're going to do it. So what happens is that we pay a huge amount of price for not being able to practice these skills in real life, right? So this AI is your way to practice. It's kind of, you go and say, I'm preparing for an interview, and I want to seem and feel, come across as a confident and a proactive person. And here I'm going to pitch to an investor, and I want to come across as thought through and energetic person, and things like that. And then you start talking, and this AI will give you multidimensional feedback based on your facial expression, your tone of voice, your words that you're using. And then you can see, oh, okay, this is where this many times I did, or this many times I was looking kind of not very engaged. And then you can see, track your progress, and you can practice and get better. And the confidence that you gain is what you need at a situation like stressful situation like interviews and all. If you had that practiced AI, you can do that. And what I did in my coaching practice is I actually created practice interviews for my people, and which I used to coach them, and I used to be kind of interviewer and give feedback. But I can't do that for everyone, every time, everywhere, right? So that's why I want to create this AI. So
And
it's an infancy, but it will get there. So I'm excited about it.
right, and I think it's gonna be beyond, right? Because the technology will last forever. People have limitations, so I mean, as and when it's gonna progress, I think it's gonna help everyone.
Oh
Uh,
yes.
Very interesting project. I'm very keen to see the results or find the examples how it is working. I mean, obviously, it has a lot of mind that is being put in it. It's gonna require a lot of real time testing, and there are so many things with the technology that has to be dealt with. But very interesting product as such to look forward for.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
So, is your company public? I mean, just a question, to buy stocks or something.
I will be actually my current company, Mirror My Mind. It's an LLC, and I'm thinking, and right now the name I'm thinking for my AI is Mirro. So Mirro.ai.
Mhm.
So I'm getting coached by like a really super mentor who sold his company to Google on how to structure my company. And so once I get all the ducks lined, yeah, I will go. I'm looking for angel investors at that time, and then and then go for it. From there, it will be probably will be a C corp. So and then we'll have some shares and investments and things like that. Yeah, and Pranali, I would love to have you as my investor. I mean, either in any ways, in any ways, you can think like. Uh, of course you can buy stocks, but you can also participate, be a tester, or be an advisor, and then see how that AI is working, so or use it in your interviews and see how how you get some
Yes,
feedback.
that's a brilliant idea.
There are a lot of ways you can
Yeah,
be involved.
I mean, you can extend this model for so many things. I mean, it's a very the interesting stuff that we can, make a technology use for us. And I think every field can apply these kind of things. The applications would be different. Definitely, we'll look forward for it, and we'll discuss offline on this. Uh, so now that you have this, structured models and whatever that you are doing right now, you have come across with many professionals and have boosted their careers. Right now, the February month being, most of the people appraisal month kind of a process in the professional world, where they have to do their performance reviews. Uh, Many techies, many people who are very great at work fail to attempt a nice review themselves, and hence the reflections don't happen on the right point. And many of us have gone through these hurdles, or the stepping stones, which we really don't think that those are like something that we should be focusing, the way we focus our work, the way we focus our tasks, the way we focus our deliverables. And I think here where we need your great guidance, being a career coach, that why this step is so important. And I won't say how to tackle it, because that's a different session for you to, get engaged with each sort of people. But in general, how to attempt it, or, be master of it.
Yeah, I think a couple of things we need to remember is that in appraisal mode, okay, there are let's talk about the mistakes that we tend to do. So one mistake is to be extremely busy at working so much for your company and for your product so much that you have forgotten about your own career ambitions, and then imagining or assuming that your manager or your management team or your leadership team will have best of their intentions in their mind and they will be working actively on your career growth. That does not necessarily happen. Sometimes it does. I mean, your management team might have the bestest intention for you, but they may not know exactly what your talents are. There are many times your talents are not even visible at your current work environment, so they don't know. They need help. Even to help you, they need help from you. So always remember, you are in your driving seat of your career. And yes, you need to be definitely add value to your job and creating give your best at work, but at least creating some time, uh, carving out some time to think about your career and strategizing that is absolutely must, and it is your responsibility. So that we have to remember. And then the second thing is, during the reviews, what happens is that people I have seen, they go and they sit there and they're going to dare to listen what they did good, what they did, what the areas improvement and what are the goals, and they are not there gone prepared to from their own agenda. They're there to receive, and then that receive, so if there is a surprise, then they get kind of a you know even more disturbed, and they cannot be in the active kind of negotiations seat with their manager. And to be in that negotiation seat, you need to be you need to be clear on where you want to go and how that aligns with the company's goals. The second, another mistake people do is that they, even if they're vocal in saying, I want to be a tech lead, or I want to be a manager, I want to be a director. Okay, that doesn't help the manager. You know, it, what helps is that how do you align what's going on in your company, what are their goals, what are their priorities, and how having more responsibility in your hand is going to be a win-win solution for your company, and painting that picture for your manager. So one thing you want to do is sit down and think about, okay, this is where I want to be. These are the things that are in my manager's head. And sometimes you have to ask them questions in the right way to see what's in their head and how do I align these two things, genuinely align, and come up with some really creative solution, creative opportunities, and then ask, when people give you areas of development, don't accept vague areas. Improve domain knowledge, it's too vague. You
Right.
have to be specific. Ask your manager to be specific for this year 2021. What specific area in domain knowledge you want me to be an expert of, and what are the opportunities you're going to give me so that I can, it could be coaching, it could be assignment on a project, it could be talking to a customer. These are the opportunities, right? What are the opportunities you're going to give me so that I build that development area? So that is the kind of negotiation kind of power you need to have when you go in those discussions.
Right. So this is so important. First of all, we have to reflect ourselves before we go to that meeting. That's so important, right? You at least have to take some half an hour from the week or so to understand whether this is something is gonna help you, whether this is the career you wanna grow, where you wanna grow. So that reflection time, first of all, one has to take in. And apart from that, I'm not being here the gender specific, but many a times that happens. Most of the women's don't sit across the table and absolutely find out. As you said, many people go in the performance review as a receiver and not as a looking forward for the something else can also happen with that kind of a meeting. Many women lack that skill, or rather absolutely don't pay attention, or be in a group where these kind of things doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So that mindset is very important, I believe, and many women lack that. So what can be helpful, in order to overcome from that dilemma? As you said, many people just get stuck in the daily routine and just don't come out and see what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say the one most important thing is that don't wait for a savior. Don't wait for somebody else to recognize how hard you're working and how you need. If you need to treat yourself well, you need to have your boundaries, and this is especially true. I mean, it's true for some men and many men, but it is also very true for women. Is to have boundaries, because we are traditionally trained to be kind of a service provider mode all the time, where we are providing service, nobody really knows whether we are how we are doing. We are asking everyone else, how are you, whether how should I, what can I do for you. Nobody asks us. We tend to be cheerleaders. Oh, that a great idea, that a great idea, but don't have our own ideas. Or we are continuously rescuing people from disasters. uh, and don't get stuck into a role like that. You need to also be a very strategic and think about yourself as you would think about somebody else that you care about. So I many times give this example, and this resonates with women really well, is that say uh, if you're going to a teacher parent conference for your kid, say, and the teacher is saying that your son needs to stay in kindergarten one more year. Okay, he's not ready for first grade. Would you go to that meeting and stay silent and listen? Or would you ask questions? Why? What he needs to do? What has he not done? Wouldn't you be that passionate for your son or your daughter? You need that same passion about yourself. When you go to your manager and the manager says, "Oh, this year we cannot promote you," if you just sit there, okay, you tried your best, I can see that, and come out, that doesn't help. You
Right.
need to ask questions. Why is that? What is it that I need to do? So the same passion we have for our kids, their careers, their studies, same passion we deserve for ourselves. And
Mm.
if you have that mindset when you go into work, think about, this is not just me, this is like my daughter 30 years from now. How would I ask her to behave in this situation?
Mm.
You need to be advocate for yourself.
Yeah, and many people absolutely don't think in that direction. That's the problem. Once they start
Yeah.
thinking, and there are 100 ways they can open up for themselves, find great mentors at the workplaces, sit across the table and just talk. That will also make a lot of difference to them. Uh,
Yes,
it
absolutely.
is absolutely interesting to understand a lot of things from you. Considering how you are, working right now, it's including weekends because you're self-employed. Many people kind of, underweight that situation. You are absolutely busy on the weekends to make few things work, to sit for yourself, and figure out where you need to balance out, where you need more expertise and study. How you manage your family, your work, and basically this extended our work.
I have a 16-year-old, and I have got my mom at home because of the pandemic. I had to move her here, and of course I have my husband, and so yeah, and yeah, I have a quite a interesting schedule. So I coach people, I advise companies, I advise some like a high tech companies on how to do software strategy. Uh, and I'm doing this AI, and I tell you, it's a balancing act, and I wouldn't claim that I am always in perfect shape mentally, physically. I feel tired. I'm a human being. I feel tired. I feel exhausted. Um, but I think that what I have learned is to pivot from those states as quickly as you can, to bounce back. And how do I bounce back? So yeah, I mean, my painting helps me unwind to a certain extent. Making sure that I have time for exercise, even if it is 5 to 10 minutes a day, I am exercising. Those kind of things, they help a lot. So that is how I'm managing. And of course, I'm always looking. I'm a lifelong learner, so I keep on finding out ways to do things better. I'm a kind of techie, so I go and buy gadgets like, okay, Rotimatic, and the hair fryer, and I try to automate as much as things as I can, and I have fun with that. It's fun. So yeah, so it's a balancing act. There is with the life, there is nothing like, okay, now I'm set. It's never like that. It's always, you always have to keep on juggling, especially as a working mother. That's how it is. So yeah, so does that answer your question?
I think yes, to a certain extent, definitely yes. But there is also a great side of yours. You are also a little bit spiritual, not little bit, maybe most of the extent, because whatever you are doing, you're just 100% there. I was expecting some sort of, that direction. I mean, it is obviously interesting to understand that the tech savvy is outsourcing things to the gadgets and making few things balancing at home and at work. But I was also looking forward for that answer, how you, shape up and balance your mind. Uh,
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I take it. Yeah, sorry, I take it for granted now. I do meditate every single day. And it's like, it has become such a natural way for me that just like I don't tell that I take deep breaths, I breathe.
Hmm.
I don't realize that, yeah, I meditate. But yeah, it's I have this again that has a tech element also, if you may.
Hmm.
I have this Muse headband, so which if I put it on my head and I meditate, and it tells me when my brain goes into theta waves. So it starts with all these rain. So when I'm having too many thoughts and all, there is just chaos and rain and all of that. And then when I calm my mind and when I get into meditative state, then the sound changes and it becomes like bird chirping and calm and all of that. So basically, you're willingly changing your state, and that is recording that and actually giving you a biofeedback. So I use that, but of course that is recent. I have always like I have been meditating for good 12 years or so, uh, and different techniques. uh, but it's like, spirituality to me is your own philosophy of life. So
Hmm.
uh, what happens is that there are lots of gurus there, a lot of spiritual um, teachers, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work with people. And to me, meditation is a tool to empty and clean your mind,
Hmm.
uh, not to put more stuff in it. So when you go to a guru or like satsang and all, they meditate, then they put stuff in your head about the way they are looking to the life. And it's not bad. I mean, it might be what you need to hear at that time. And no matter how great a guru or a spiritual teacher, even an ancient one, is, and how it their philosophy probably is probably awesome about life. But you know what, you are here because you need to create your own philosophy based on your own experiences and the time that you're living, and uh, the universe has given you this whole different setup
Hmm.
so that you can create your own different philosophy, your own different experience of spirituality. So you don't have to repeat it. You don't have to follow a footstep. So when there are folks who come to me to have some spiritual discussions, and I enjoy them because they're quite deep, and it's often about uh, I trusting your own path that comes from your heart versus all the spiritual jargon that's out there.
Hmm.
And how do I take my own path through it. So I don't consider myself, I will never consider myself as a spiritual guru, but I am a coach. So you can definitely bounce, and I'll reflect back your mind to you
Hmm.
so that you can decide what is your philosophy, because that's what I want you to have, your own philosophy, your own spirituality, your own spiritual experience that makes sense to you.
Is such an interesting personality to look forward and have a conversation with. Extremely happy to share such kind of a platform where I could meet so many different women's and have a very different flavors of life coming together. I'm absolutely thankful to Shraddha Joglekar, who suggested me that Maithilee Samant is another interesting personality for your show. We'll continue for a rapid fire round now. Is that okay?
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Complete a sentence. As a coach, I need dash dash.
Compassion.
Wow. Next word that comes to your mind when I say mirror.
Mind.
I was expecting that. Your role model, a women role model.
um, there are actually quite a few. um, which one do I choose? So one of my current coach is my role model, and her name is Linda Lopez. She is like a veteran software engineer. She was writing software in 1970s. She did her own businesses and very successful one. And now she's a great coach and she's been advisors to some of US presidents. So she's one of my role models. Another would be I don't know. I also like Lucille Ball. You know why she's my role model? Because she she didn't care about what others think about her.
Hmm.
At the time when woman couldn't be a comedian, she was, you know, a super, she was just fantastic comedian. She didn't mind being laughed at, but
Hmm.
she was incredibly smart. You know, the Star Trek, the series. She funded that. She was the producer for Star Trek. She was very futuristic.
Hmm.
So of course, so she intrigues me with that kind of a personality. And of course, my mom Mangala Samant, she's an author. She's a feminist. She writes books. She just published a book in Marathi,
Oh,
which is called Stri Mukticha Khapar Panja.
what
It's all about
the great
women's
man
severance
is.
movement in US. And so her dedication to kind of writing and social work is also a huge inspiration for me.
Mhm. Yeah, that's so important. Having your own mother to be a role model, it gives a great shift in anyone's life, I feel. Wow.
Yeah.
Good to know that. I mean, I didn't know this. I'm happy to understand. I mean, good that that this kind of question just popped up.
Yeah,
uh,
she might be a good candidate for your one of your interviews.
Definitely, I will look forward to.
Mhm.
Best food for thought.
Fasting.
Yeah, nowadays it's so fast.
In the sense that I was going to indicate that get a break from thoughts,
Hmm.
get some break. Continuously, just like we are continuously munching on something is not good for us, continuously thinking is not good for us. So great food for thought is fasting.
Wow. And the last question, artificial intelligence.
Future, I believe it's gonna come,
Yeah.
and it's just matter of, it's not even matter of time, it's already here.
Hmm.
uh, but it's not gonna be bad. It's not gonna, it's gonna augment our life in a really meaningful way. um, and it's gonna be a ally for human evolution. So I have good expectations, though I see that there are lots of problems right now, but I have good expectation we'll turn it around as we go.
Yeah. I mean, people must have seen the Microsoft artificial intelligence model where, your own self can come forward and, translate the same speech in all other languages. It's very popular nowadays. And that's the future we are living into. And especially, staying in the Silicon Valley, if we don't feel that this is going to be a future, then I think it's not good.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Well, it was obviously an interesting journey of yours that you unfolded in front of us and have given us a lot of valuable inputs, being a professional person or being even someone who is not active enough in their professional or in their skills, but might want to, jump back and stay active and stay happy. That's the interesting message and a lot of success keys that you gave out. We will definitely look forward for your lot of sessions that are happening, and Mirror My Mind is the website where you will be logging on to. There is a great Facebook page she's hosting and putting a lot of updates from her side, that as well you can look forward from the Maithilee Samant. Before you leave, we have last advice question for you, although you give so many advices to us. And the last question is, the people who are dreaming something in a very different fields that, or like unconventional fields, I would say, what kind of a message you would like to give it to them?
So if it is unconventional field and or chances, or even if it's a conventional field and you're dreaming really big and the chances of success seem small, I would say, people always think that there are these lucky breaks. These people get lucky. Some people gets lucky breaks, but luck can be caught, and there is a way you can create a trap or a net to catch the lucky coincidences. And the elements of that net is, first is intention. You need to know clearly what you want.
Mm,
Second is preparation. So don't stay stagnant, prepare on it. Keep on learning, keep on finding things, keep yourself ready. And then third is anticipation. Anticipate that it's going to happen. Anticipate that you will find people and events that are going to take you closer to that dream and goal. And if you have those three things, it becomes like a magnet to catch luck. So there is a saying which says, chance prefers prepared mind, in the sense that people who get lucky, they were not lucky, they were prepared to take the opportunity that comes their way, to take the best out of that situation. And that's how we need to be. I mean, as a visual, though it's not exactly right visual, but you can see that, you can relate to that. Remember a cat, when a cat sits waiting for the mouse to come out of the uh, its small little hole, she may look passive, but she's not.
mm,
She is prepared to pounce. She's anticipating. you
mm,
know That's why when the mouse comes, she's there. Otherwise, the mouse might just run away and there's a cat. Oh my God, I lost that, and that's how we lose, you know, um, opportunity to make it into, getting that stock, or, going into that particular, getting that interview nailed, or buying something that was we needed to buy at that time. That's we lose those chances because we are not prepared and
mm.
we are not anticipating. But if you have intention, preparation, and anticipation, you get those lucky breaks, and those lucky breaks make it better. And that would be my advice.
Wow. I think you nailed it down quite on a factual basis. That's what people are looking forward to. I'm honored to sit across the table with you and have this wonderful conversation going on. It was really helpful for, be me being the professionalist, or, me being looking forward to, excel at some of the areas that I'm moving forward to. Uh, I'm sure it's going to help most of us, most of the viewers who are listening, tuning in, and really trying to guess forward that what she's talking is, it's something that you can relate to. I'm sure many of us will relate. And let me know your feedback, viewers. How was it helpful to you as a guidance part of you? And what is the other field that you are looking forward from Women Special Express to come up and have a guidance on? I'm here to understand what exactly we need in our community, and we'll be definitely looking forward for the experts in those kind of areas. This was the guest suggested by Shraddha Tai Joglekar, and I'm so happy hosting her on my show. And she's just giving me a lot of gems as the contacts, or the looking forward as my guest. I'm absolutely thrilled and happy for my guest here, and I'm grateful to Maithilee that she took out this time and have been just came as is without mirroring her mind. I'm happy. I'm sure, Maithilee, you enjoy this, and the viewers are gonna get help from you.
Absolutely. This was my pleasure. Great questions, Pranali, and I'm glad what you're doing. It's absolutely a great platform for women to get inspired and connect with each other. And of course, I'm here, and you can reach me. Any of your viewers can reach me through mirrormymind.com. And I would love to come back and have another nice discussion with you like this. So
Sure.
it was wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you so much.